So as Anthony said, we are coming from the University of Aegean. So I would say that we come from a kind of broader spatial perspective. So our research focuses on those spatial parameters that determine the situation of young unemployed people across, mostly across the European South. Today, I along with Fotini Vlachaki, will present you our research project. And first of all, I will try to lay the foundations of the analysis. I will try to map the situation of young people in order to contextualize our pilot interventions of how to include young people. So let's first try to tap into some of our research results, and then I will give the floor. I will give the screen actually to Fotini to present you some of our proposals for youth inclusion. So, as I said, our focus is on those spatial geographical parameters that determine the situation of young people that are mostly unemployed, but more generally, people not in education, employment, or training, what we call NEETs, across the regions of the EU. And our time period is after the economic crisis of 2008. So here I tap into some of the research results by Athina Vagianou, one member of our research team. What we can see from statistics, but also from qualitative data, is that we have an overconcentration of needs in the European South, and this is something that is pretty noticeable here in the map that we see. This is a map that weights the concentration of needs related to the EU average. I also want to highlight here that not only we have an overconcentration in the southern nation states, but also we have an overconcentration of needs in the southern regions of these countries. And I think this is most noticeable in Italy. Well, we know there is this intra-regional distinction between north and south Italian regions, and this is something that we can see it in many indexes. So why do we have these overconcentrations? What are the parameters of these overconcentrations of people not in education, employment, or training? Of course, there are many parameters. If we run a multi-correlation analysis, multi-regressional analysis, here we can see some of the basic parameters. I will just try to present some of them very briefly, as I said, just to contextualize our interventions, which are the most important for the present presentation. So after 2008, we can see that there has been a steady increase of the average need rates across Europe, across Southern Europe. And there's also something that really needs to be highlighted, that there is a difference between the female need rates and the average need rates. Again, this is related to socio-cultural factors and so on. So all these parameters like insularity, peripheral regions, low GDP, and so on are some of the basic parameters that determine the overconcentration of needs. Here you can see a box plot that is picturing the difference between the continental and the insular regions. The insular regions of the EU obviously have many problems, and these affect the concentration of young people that are not employed, not in education or training. And we can see that here very clearly. And of course, this is also related to another factor, which is a more economic, more structural factor, the GDP per capita of each region. We can see very clearly a positive correlation between the GDP per capita and the needs concentration. Or in other words, in those regions that we have higher GDP per capita, we have lower need concentrations, and vice versa. Another parameter is the employment in agriculture. We notice that this is a very significant parameter for the concentration of needs. Again, we can see that the highest the volume of employment in agriculture, the highest the concentration of needs in those regions. And relevant literature highlights that those regions that have strong agricultural sectors are less resilient, because agriculture in general is a less resilient economic field. And again, this is also feeds back to the state of insularity, because many of European islands, many of those insular regions have a strong agricultural sector, which is less resilient, and that makes them again less resilient in economic crisis and generates youth unemployment. And last but not least, the parameter that I want to highlight is the employment in wholesale, retail, trade, transport, accommodation, and food service activities. This is an index that is closely related to what we call touristic services, what we call tourism. Again, an economic field that is quite strong in those insular regions or peripheral regions, which again makes them less resilient. We can see, the correlation is not so clear here, but also relevant literature highlights that we have higher concentration of needs in those regions that have high employability, strong sectors that are related to tourism. So another article that was published from a recent research that we conducted had to do with an evaluation of the Youth Guarantee Emblematic Action Plan. We might have heard of that. Just highlighting the basic proclamation of the basic objective of the Youth Guarantee Action Plan, which is ensuring that all young people under the age of 25, this was extended to 30 during the pandemic period, receive a good quality offer of employment, continued education, apprenticeship, traineeship within a period of 4 months of becoming unemployed or leaving formal education. So this is the basic aim of the Youth Guarantee Action Plan of the EU. And what the relevant literature again indicates is that in Southern European countries, the Youth Guarantee Plan seems not to be so efficient for some reasons. And we tried to dwell on this framework in order to explore those parameters of inefficiency. Presenting again very briefly some results from Spain and Italy. So in Spain, we realized again that there is this over-concentration in the southern regions of Spain, and the strong presence of needs is also related to a strong presence of youth guarantee registrants. In other words, where we have higher unemployment, we also have higher registration in the youth guarantee program. And this seems kind of self-evident. What is not self-evident is that at the same time, we have an increase in temporary employment in those regions. So even in the cases that youth unemployment is dropping, so youth employment is rising, we also can see that there is an increase in temporary employment. And what we can see also in Italy is that, again, we have this regional differentiation between north and south. And what is quite indicative is that in those regions that we have a strong presence of the youth guarantee program, at the same time, we can see that we have an increase of inactivity between needs. Now, I have to say that we don't imply that there is a positive correlation between the implementation of the program and temporary employment or youth inactivity. But the thing is that somehow the youth guarantee does not deliver what it promises in terms of employment. And this is because of a group of reasons. Some of them I present you here is the non-specification, the regional level. There is not efficient monitoring, institutional fragmentation. This is something quite common, especially in the European South. The institutions are not working so well. So there is this miscommunication between different institutional levels and so on. And of course, other social cultural parameters. So from our research results, our, let's say, punchline is that we not only focus on statistical data, on data like youth employment. We should not focus on whether young people enter the labor market but we should focus on how they do so. What are the conditions of their entering the labor market? So having said that, what our project tries to do is it tries to enhance real-time monitoring for youth employment, which we consider something quite important for a group of reasons that I will mention some of them. And also we try to involve different sectors that are more resilient in crisis, like social economy, the third sector, and so on, for the training of young people. So what we consider to be one of our most important interventions is what we call the Youth Employment Monitor. So this is a tool, an online observatory for tracking the different youth employment trends since 2008. And this is a dynamic tool. It operates on a regional spatial level, and it tries to feed practitioners, researchers, policymakers with recent regional data. Why is that important? Because it can provide a wealth of insights to all those stakeholders that are involved to youth employment programs and so on. And this is quite important for developing regionally sensitive, tailor-made policies, also for mobility issues, for let's say young unemployed people, to see what are the employment trends across Europe and so on. So all the involved stakeholders can benefit greatly from such a monitor, such an online observatory across the European Union. And I also give you here the link of the Youth Employment Monitor. This is how it looks right now. As I said, it's a dynamic tool, so we update it and we try to include as much data as possible. And I can now give the screen to Fotini in order to present some of the other interventions that we try to develop and we develop through our research program, the YOUTHshare program.
Thank you, Georgios. Dear colleagues, hello. Thanks for this opportunity. As you have already heard, the project, the YOUTHshare project offers a holistic approach to combat youth unemployment and youth inactivity. So starting from the side of mapping the needs at the regional and local level, which is very important, so we can proceed to offer specific service delivery. So a very important part of the project is how to address the beneficiaries, which are the youngsters that come from disadvantaged environments, exposed to marginalization, disadvantaged students as part of this youth inactivity beneficiaries. So there are tools, digital tools developed within a YOUTHshare project, trying to outreach and offer counseling and training services to different at-risk youngsters. And at risk, those that are at risk of school dropout is also a part of this group. So the ultimate goal is to empower and to motivate these youngsters. As we already know from OECD PISA results, disadvantaged students have very low career aspirations. So it's very important to offer the insights and news from the world of work. So that is very important. It was highlighted also from the previous speakers. Building bridges with the world of work is very important, and it's a core part of the YOUTHshare project. We can go on to the next slide. As I said, these are the beneficiaries of the digital tools of YOUTHshare, including at-risk students coming from disadvantaged areas, coastal and island areas, offering very low opportunities for career development. And next slide. Especially for students of upper secondary education, it's very important to offer different aspects of career opportunities. And Georgios talked about resilient sectors of economy. That was closely selected to highlight what is there, especially linked to regional development, and how these opportunities can be presented to students. And these sectors are social economy and entrepreneurship, but this can highlight some important opportunities for disadvantaged groups, because one of the core goal is to integrate disadvantaged groups as part of different activities in social economy and social solidarity economy. And the other sector is about sharing economy. It's about to facilitate peer-to-peer exchanges of different goods and services, and that means that can include all different sectors of economy. But it also has to do with precarious employment conditions, and this is a danger, especially faced by disadvantaged groups. So it's very interesting to see how we can create more opportunities for these people and offer inclusive career opportunities. So the digital tools, the YOUTHshare digital tools.
Fotini, your time is running out now, so maybe if you can wrap up in the next minute or so.
Okay, just to mention what are the tools and see if what are the policy lessons that we can take. So the e-learning platform that provides training on social economy and sharing economy, so the students can learn what it is and develop specific skills, but also social and transversal skills that are very important for employability. This is a very important tool that guidance practitioners can use, so they can implement different kinds of activities to engage students. And another, you can see here what is the different parts in the learning platform. And another important tool is the mentoring, the sharing economy platform, which offers e-mentoring and networking with professionals, which is also very important. And it can be a tool for guidance practitioners, so they can you can get in touch with professionals and organize different kinds of activities, including students, career fairs, career talks, and of course, e-mentoring for those that they are willing to learn more and be activated in these sectors of economy. So these are free to use, and they have already been used in by some schools as part of career guidance subject, but also in other subjects according to the school curriculum. What is important to say also, that all these different tools are important for guidance practitioners and policymakers, but they also the employment centers that have been set up in 4 countries so far, they get in contact with schools so they can learn about the tools and try to find a way to introduce and set specific activities targeted to students. So to conclude, what is important to take into account is that we need to be proactive. So before the students are out of school, to try to give them the insight of the world of work and what are the opportunities, what are the most resilient opportunities, future oriented opportunities that might not they don't know, to be involved in experiential activities, for career guidance to be more inclusive, because sometimes we tend to focus more on mainstream population, mainstream students, but we forget that there are students with specific needs and specific obstacles that they face, and mostly those that are coming from disadvantaged environments. So we need to find a way to address that these students, taking into account different issues like gender inequalities, multiple vulnerability, and try to highlight different opportunities for them. Horizontal skills, transversal skills, very important. And the digital innovation tools can help in this direction to organize activities highlighting entrepreneurial skills, digital skills, social emotional skills, and how to work together, working in silos, which Georgios also mentioned that. It's very important to see at local and regional level how we can develop more synergies and different sectors working together, in also involving the employers, which can give a realistic aspect of what is there in the labor market, and for more students to know about that, so they can have broader career aspirations and career development opportunities.